Good morning. I am Janet, your prayer chaplain for today, and I am leading us into the meditation. And we welcome all who are here, both physically and in our digital audience. As we take a deep breath in and out, we relax our shoulders, our feet, our head and our shoulder, and just feeling relaxed as we enter into the wonderful presence of Spirit in this silent time, and as we connect with this ever wonderful presence, we rest our bodies, we open our minds, and we let go. As we gently come out of the silence, we move our hands, our feet, our head, and we enter into this present moment. We give thanks, God, for the loving presence in our lives, for the divine life and strength. For like a summer cloud and the sun appears to grace our presence, or like a gentle rain nurturing us, and the gentle wind that caresses us and all peoples. We give thanks for this unity of life, and we go forward in gratitude and in grace and in good and in love. And so it is. Amen.
deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
Please join me for a few moments of quiet and stillness as we turn our attention inward. My hope is that my words can speak for you. I slow myself now. My body, we all know our spots, my mind, my emotions, and create a space inside for something new and good to find me. I remember the dance. We all dance within the one universal creative energy that flows straight through me and straight through you, everywhere, right now and always. An awe-inspiring reality. I am grateful for opportunities to reflect with others upon our complex human divine natures and to practice bringing our best into the world. I honor all my experiences and I use them to grow my soul. This morning, I affirm, I am love. I experience fear, but I practice love. I affirm, I am compassion. Sometimes I experience anger, but I practice understanding and compassion. I affirm, I am peace. Once in a while, I experience hurt and disappointment, but I practice forgiveness and I choose peace. Hard as I might work my spiritual program, there are in this life unwanted circumstances. By drawing on the innate spiritual gifts of will and power and choice, I move myself toward higher ground. I honor all my experiences and I use them to grow my soul. And so it is.
When I pray, I feel my love go deeper. My love goes deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper. My love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Yes, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Yes, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. Yes, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Yes, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I invite you all to sing along as you return to your seats. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I love is my source, love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all these blessings. Love brings me everything I joy is my source, joy is my power, joy brings me everything I need. So I give thanks for all these blessings, everything. God is my source, God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all these blessings, everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything
Thank you, Becca. I think you got them all warmed up. Let's give a special thank you to Becca Palm for returning as our guest musician. And to our musical pillars, Scotty and Jonesy. Holding it up, holding it up. Just welcome to Unity in Lynnwood, to all of you who I can see here with my eyeballs, and those of you who I will be seeing with the invisible heartstring. Some of you may know there's a book called The Invisible String for children. It's wonderful, but we have to use our invisible strings with our virtual audience. Thank you for joining us this morning. Many of us find this a very uplifting way to spend a portion of our Sundays. And I know I'm not the only one who uses this time together on Sunday to fill my uplift reserve tank for the week. We want everyone who walks through our doors to know a few basic things. I think perhaps the most important one is that everyone is welcome here. And those aren't just hollow words. We try our very best to greet you with warmth and friendliness. We focus on our common qualities, not the ways humans sometimes perceive themselves as different. We look for your goodness and believe there is divinity in each person. We welcome all races, ethnic backgrounds, sexual orientation, sexual identities, age, and personality. We've even celebrated from time to time that when we admit it and we look closely, we're all just a little bit quirky. We value being authentic, and we practice staying out of judgment. People come here from all religious backgrounds and affiliations, or from no affiliation at all. We want people to experience a true sense of belonging here. So please relax into who you are so you can enjoy your time with us. I want to share a quote by one of my all-time favorite spiritual teachers. Her name is Rachel Naomi Remen. She is a physician, a counselor, an author. I think many of you know of her and two wonderful books she wrote. This is her quote: "Perhaps the secret of living well is not in having all the answers, but in pursuing unanswerable questions in good company." That just makes me think of us. Certainly this quote describes many of the curious, complex, and interesting people I've met here. I warmly invite you into conversation on the unanswerable questions as we move forward. And you might just bring your curiosity across the hall to Friendship Hall if you're able to stay. Well, no, we are not going to Friendship Hall. We are kind of parking ourselves here because there will be a town meeting. But I hope you get to meet some of these interesting, curious, quirky people between our service and our town hall meeting this afternoon. So I will turn it back over to Becca.
His favorite mystic poets, Rumi, and put them to music. We are here having a taste in this moment of eternity. We're being the mirror as well as the face. In this moment of eternity, we breathe in, we breathe out. It's right here, it's right now. We take in, we give out. It's all here, it's all now. We're the sweet cold water and the jar that pours in this moment of eternity. An endless sky and a bird that soars in this moment of eternity. We breathe in, we breathe out. It's right here, it's right now. We take in, we give out. It's all here, it's all now. Our broken remains are whole and pure. We are the pain as well as the cure. We are the love as well as the fear. In this moment of eternity, together alone, all of it here. In this moment of eternity. out. It's all here, it's all now. You guys want to be my choir this morning for a little while? We need one, right? Okay, here's how it goes. In this moment of eternity, in this moment of eternity, there you go. In this moment of, you keep it going for me, will ya? In this beautiful, we breathe in. You sound good.
Well, thank you, Becca. That was wonderful. And Scott, Chris, so appreciate all that you do. Lynnwood, I'm Jennifer Lovejoy. I'll be your platform minister today. I'll introduce our guest speaker in a little bit, but I want to welcome you this morning, our in-person audience as well as our virtual audience. And Sam, I'm so glad you're here. It's so great to see your beautiful faces. And I have to say, y'all are looking particularly colorful this morning. I don't know, maybe because of the gray outside. It's just, got to dress. I don't know. I got the black and white memo, but we're doing the best we can, right? So, I do want to mention briefly, we've got a town hall. You've already heard this, but I want to especially mention it to our virtual audience because we do really hope that you will join us in the town hall. And if you want to do that, you just need to go to our website, to the calendar page, and you can sign up and get the Zoom link that will allow you to sign in to the town hall. So you may want to go ahead and do that sometime between now and 12:30 so that you have the Zoom link for that. And speaking of our virtual audience, we've got a number of folks on the screen back there. Pascaline from Nairobi, Ursula in Florida, Deb from Jersey, Judy, and we're getting quite the Florida contingent lately. I like it. Jerry Brocker, welcome. Colleen, Michael, and Mandy, and so many more I know who are online. So if you all would join me in welcoming our online family by looking over here at Walayn. Hi, Walayn. And that camera, and let's just say, we see you. We love you. We're glad you're here. And we see your wholeness today. Thank you. All right, so we will open, as we always do, by reminding ourselves, grounding ourselves in our mission and our values and what we believe. And we do this every Sunday by reading the mission statement, which was crafted by the Board of Trustees and the community back in 2014. In fact, I believe with the help of our esteemed guest speaker today, if I'm not mistaken. So we've been using this for quite a long time, but it really describes who we are and what we do. It's short, it's simple, and it says practical spirituality, welcoming community. And because it's short and simple and so much is contained in those 4 simple words, we like to support it every week with one of the value statements that we came up with at that time. And this week, it's value statement number 5. We actively seek and enthusiastically include truths from all great spiritual traditions. You good with that? All right. So let's say together now our invocation. You can speak this aloud, you can read along, you can close your eyes and just let this sink into you, however you choose to take it. But it goes like this. Though imaged and named variously, there is a singular and eternal ground of being from which all life emanates and into which all life retreats. We choose to call this ground of being God. By extension, we come to understand that we are spiritual in nature, human in expression, and limitless in potential. We gather today to remember such truths, to celebrate our unity, and to honor all life. And in case you're wondering, the reason those last words were highlighted in yellow in big letters is because that's the vision statement of Unity in Lynnwood that we collectively agreed on last year in a number of workshops and things that we did with the community. So we really do believe very strongly in that. So it is my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Michael Bogar, who is with us. I think those of you who were here last week heard him begin a mini-series that he will conclude today. And we are so grateful that he has agreed to be part of this whole summer speaker celebration that we are having with our guest speakers as we go through our transition before our new interim minister joins us on September 1st. So I won't do a long introduction of Michael because many of you I know have heard it before, but I will say that he is a longtime member and friend of this community who has, I actually learned the first time he spoke here even back in the day when it was a tiny, tiny church in Mount Lake Terrace, he was involved. So he really has been a friend of our community for a long time. He has graduate degrees in Bible, theology, Jungian psychology, and mythology. He teaches at Central Texas College, located at Joint Base Lewis McChord, which I love, and also regularly at Seattle Unity and the Seattle Center for Spiritual Living. So he brings just a wealth of knowledge and insight, both practical and spiritual. So Reverend Michael, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, the time that this group goes way back, 1990, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more today. What we've been doing, this is actually the third time I've been here in the last couple of months, is introduce this notion of soul making, which may or may not be new to you, but the general idea is sort of against traditional wisdom, which is that we come into this world as a fully formed soul. A soul making perspective says, possibly, however, what if we come into this world as soul embryos? Think about that for a moment. Just as we become biological embryos that develop and grow and mature over time, what is this matrix called Earth, as John Keats the poet called it, the school of soul making? We are coming into the school, into the classroom as little embryonic kindergartners or even preschoolers, and that everything in this, I'm getting...
Yeah, Michael, do you mind fitting your pack? It seems like I need to get turned off. I'm sorry.
mystical symbols. This is part of the soul-making experience. So. Oh, this mic is on. Okay, yeah.
I'll get this ready for you in just a minute.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is a perfect example of the soul-making school because we make plans, don't we? And that's part of why I was attracted to the New Thought movement is because I'd been in the evangelical movement. I loved it. I thrived in it until I didn't. So I don't have to pick between one or the other. That is a precious schoolroom that I grew up in for a time, and then the New Thought movement came along. And the New Thought movement said, you have control over your life. You're the poet. You can create this world. As time went on, I found myself loving that idea, But I also found myself at times having the microphone go dead and somebody run down the aisle and say, "You're not on." So at that point, I'm clearly not the poet because that's not the way I wrote the poem. I wrote the poem for it to work a certain way, and it didn't, and it often doesn't. Amen? So if I can't come up with a spiritual paradigm that is big enough to include the fact that I am the poet, that is, I create my life, yes, and I am the poem. My life creates me. It is a co-creative activity, and that we have to make room for both of those, or we're always in one state of ecstasy or trauma after the other, instead of saying, whether it's ecstasy or trauma, it's all part of the whole fabric of soul making. Life itself. Are we going to try this again and make more soul here? Come on. Do I get an extra minute added? Testing, 1, 2. Is it working? No? All right, we'll just go with this mic.
My apologies.
No problem. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to put this little sign out here that says, can you read it with me? I am the poet, I am the poem. I teach world religions, and the world religions classes, we speak a lot about sacred texts, from the Hindu Mahabharata, in which the Bhagavad Gita is found, the life of Krishna and his relationship with Arjuna, the human general, the Bible with all those characters, male and female, in their relationship with the God of the covenant of Israel, in the Avesta of the Zoroastrians, in their praises, incantations, and hymns to the one true God of light. We could look at all the paganisms, we could look at every single religion, spirituality, metaphysical system, mythical system, all the labels we put on them, and what they all have in common is there are 2 points to all of their sacred texts. We are here as humans, and we are interacting with an invisible realm. The thing they all have in common. Some of them have some very huge differences in them. So that is what I want to talk about this morning in my conclusion to soul making. And I've titled the talk, Soul Making as Biography. That is, the theory of soul making, which is what we've been looking at the last couple of weeks, is one thing, that we are here in this world to make soul. Good theory. But what about the practice of it? What about the actual experience of soul making? What does that look like? So I would say when it comes to the sacred texts, they are all biographical. And we fall sometimes into the error of reading other people's biographies and all these great texts. All of them are great biographies and very beneficial. However, it's not my biography. So what I want to state here this morning is a biographical view of soul making suggests that each of you is the sacred text. That each of you is the gospel. Each of you is the book of Acts or activities. Each of you is the book of Revelation, or each of us is the book of Revelation, the unveiling, the apocalypse. Apocalypse doesn't mean disaster. Apocalypse simply means to pull the veil back. Each of us is having the veil pulled back. Can we put that image up there for a moment of the sculptor? That is an apocalypse. Of course it's catastrophic, but the catastrophe has a purpose, and that is to pull the veil back. So my talk this morning is to look briefly, and not narcissistically, I hope, at my own biographical soul-making experience, not because it's more important, because it's a simple example of what I'm trying to say theoretically. I didn't come to this soul-making idea overnight. It took a lifetime. And as I tell the story, I want you to see how the soul-making came to life in my sacred text, the sacred text called the Gospel, Book of Acts, Revelation of Michael. Because that's what each of us is. Now, the story looks something like this. You'll remember over the last 2 weeks, we talked about soul-making as having 4 different modes, at least, or 4 stages. like the butterfly. Psyche, the Greek word for butterfly. What are the 4 stages of the butterfly? What's the first stage? The egg, which I said corresponds to the soul-making process as what? The ego. It's the first stage of soul-making. Ego. I have to find out who the hell I am. I can't make a soul until I have a basic identity. Now, the second stage of the butterfly after the egg is the caterpillar. From the egg comes the caterpillar. What's the caterpillar characterized as? Relationships. Some of you have heard of the processionary caterpillars. These are caterpillars that they line up one behind the other, and the first one can literally lead them over the cliff because they all follow this one caterpillar. That's what stage 2 consciousness and soul making does. After I become an ego, then my soul, as Marianne Williamson said, after we become egos, we get to expand our souls by falling in love. You understand? It's not just about me, which is important first stage, but it's not big enough. The second stage is, it's not just all about me, it's all about we. I call it the we go. From ego to we go, the caterpillar stage, the partisan stage. This is where we are partisan politicians, partisan religious people. When I left the evangelicals, I left it because they were partisan. For me, too partisan. I got over to the New Thought movement, and after about a decade, guess what I found? They were just as partisan. Much nicer partisan, at least openly. But behind closed doors, they could be just as mean-spirited as the evangelicals were out in the open. So I was like, somehow my spiritual paradigm has to include room for the caterpillars. We all have to connect with other human beings before we can make a soul. So we have to become an ego, we have to become relational, and then for the butterfly, what comes after the caterpillar? The chrysalis. Now, what happens in the chrysalis stage? We fall into a pool of goo. This is when we have enough of an ego and enough relationships that screw us over. And they do. If you get in relationships, you will get betrayed, you will get hurt, you will be injured in traumatic ways you can't even imagine. But a soul-making perspective says you are in the process of making a soul, and these chrysalis experiences of trauma are just as necessary to that butterfly as the egg and the caterpillar. So in a soul-making world, there's room for everything. And that's what I began to discover as my life went on. And then, of course, the 4th stage after the chrysalis and disintegration, and we're in a state of pathology and dysfunction and disorder and all of that. That's what our culture calls it. And then they put on television commercials to tell you how to fix it, sell you lots of stuff. But that's not where we stop. And that's not where, thankfully, the butterfly stops. After the chrysalis comes, the butterfly emerges. And that's what a soul-making paradigm and a soul-making biography suggests, is that my life is going to be filled with Michael as the center of the universe, even still. Michael in relationships with my beautiful wife, something I never thought I would have, a relationship that has lasted for 15 years and is better than it was 15 years ago. And I'm not just saying that to make her like me. She seems to agree. So we have to have relationships. We have to become Republicans or Democrats or independents. We have to have different perspectives on voting, on religion, and that fighting that goes on Facebook until you unfriend those SOBs. All of that's necessary, those stage 2 partisan. And the stage 3 stuff that we go through, our addictions, our fantasies, our sexual weirdness. We all have weird things. Thank you for saying, what was it, quirky? All of us have stuff, we have stuff going on in our lives that we would not want other people to know about. Yes? Oh, I don't see enough people nodding. If this were a Catholic church, you could all be going like that. Anyway, the point is we all fall apart. As I get older, guess what I'm finding? All the people I've known all these years are falling apart more and more, except for me, of course. No, we're all falling apart. In some ways I'm noticing, maybe the most challenging experience in the soul-making process as death comes closer and closer and closer. And I have those moments where I wake up at night and wonder, what will my death be? Will it be quick? Will it be long and agonizing like some of the people around me have gone through? That's all part of the soul-making process. And Keats was dying of tuberculosis when he wrote his soul-making letter. He knew he was going to die at the age of 25 when he wrote, "I believe that we are in the school of soul-making." But thank God that's not the end. And that song that we were singing, what were the lyrics again? This is a moment of eternity. What a beautiful mantra. I mean, at first when you said that, oh yeah, another new age cliche. But then as I began to repeat it, it was like, holy crap. Every tick of the clock is a moment of soul-making eternity. Every second from this perspective. And that butterfly is coming into form if it's true. And like I shared last week, there are days I think it's all BS. I'll have people come to me and say, I don't believe in this soul-making stuff. And I say, I don't either. That's the chrysalis. There's room for it. And then there's room for the reintegration, which is the fourth step. Very quickly, I want to give you my soul-making biography. I was born into a family that wanted to make money. Both of my parents wanted to make a lot of money, and they did. As a result, that's pretty much all their time was spent making money, unless my dad was drinking and my mom was fighting with him. So we had a home where it was all about success and a lot of fighting, but a lot of loving. They made up really well after they fought. But I got to see that in this home. And I began to form an ego personality. All of our parents, our geography, the house we live in, the neighborhood we are raised in, all of this stuff is the formation of that first stage of the ego. And I found myself going to school as a little boy, being pretty shy. I didn't know it at the time, but I was lost. How many of you can look back and go, I remember feeling lost, couldn't define it until adolescence. Then I started writing poetry, and I was so lost. And I was. That's the ego stage, and I could tell you a lot about who I thought I was. Two favorite TV programs, Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock. I used to look through the little crack of our bedroom door when my parents were watching the Twilight Zone, and I would think, someday I'm going to grow up and write stories like that. So I developed a personality, and I had an ego, and it was an interesting little lost fellow. Very shy at school. I was good at athletics, but not very good at pushing myself up to get in line and show off. So lostness would be the best description. Now, when I was about 19 and a half, we entered into a second stage, and all these stages happen every day, all week, so it's not this tidy. But I entered into a second stage of relational soul-making when my mom came home from a Bible study that she went to with a friend of hers and said, Michael, today I became a Christian. Now, I was in a home with no religion, so this meant nothing to me except something's wrong with my mom. And then she said, furthermore, your dad is going to become a Christian soon. And that's when I knew there was something wrong. But about 5 months later, my dad was always trying to stop drinking and starting again and stopping and starting and all the hell and the turmoil that goes on in a home with that sort of thing. But he went out on a bender after several weeks of sobriety, came home and threw a bottle through the window, and it was a typical kind of, craziness. And the next morning he got up. I was sitting at the table. I was going to college at the time, sitting at the table eating breakfast, getting ready to go to school. And my dad walked out and whispered. I could hear him talk to my mom, and he said, I want to go talk to that pastor of yours. I thought, holy crap. And he did that day. I got home from college later that day, and my dad was sitting at the table reading the Bible. And I walked in, and I said, hey, what's up? He goes, do you know Jesus? I said, not really. I went to my room and I thought, this place has gone completely mad. They both started going to church. My dad quit drinking, didn't have another drink for 50 years. Their lives to a lot of people. So if you're just on their bad side, as I was after I left it, there's another side to it. Anyway, what happened to me was I began to watch them in this new Christian thing. And one night, I decided I was going to try to read this little book called the Bible. And I had a little green Gideon New Testament. They used to give those away in school. And I had it in my bottom drawer under the baseball cards and the Playboys, and I pulled out this little Gideon New Testament, and I locked the door, and I read it. I didn't want somebody coming in and finding me reading the Bible, and I read the first chapter of the Gospel of Matthew, and I read about a third of it. Over the next 3 nights, I read through the Gospel of Matthew. It didn't impress me much. I was like, this is weird. But after I finished the third night, I folded the gospel up. I set it on the nightstand. I turned the light off. And I remember lying on my back. I can still see it. And I heard not an audible voice, but a telepathic voice that said simply, believe. And I remember in my own telepathic mind saying back, believe what? And it just said it again, believe. And I folded my hands because I'd seen them do that on television. And I prayed and I said, I believe. Next morning I woke up, nothing special, had breakfast, walked out to my car. It was a December morning. And halfway to my car, I stopped and looked up at the sky. And I saw the Washington clouds in a half blue sky. And they were coming together like puzzle pieces. And I had this experience that was literally cosmically out of this world, where something came to me and said this entire universe fits together as a puzzle, and it's all coming together, and you are one of the pieces. My grade point went from 1.8 to 3.8 within a month. I stopped partying, not because I had to, because Christians don't party. I stopped partying because I had no interest in that. I started reading. I was not much of a reader before that. I hated reading. I read the Bible. I read psychology. I went off to a school and studied for 4 years, went off to a graduate school, got a degree in theology, and then went to Pacifica Graduate Institute and studied mythology. My entire life changed as a result of getting connected to that experience, which I was then told was evangelical Christianity. And they took me aside and they began to teach me, and it was home. Within a day, I went from I don't know why I'm here to I know why we're here, how we got here, where we're going, and where everybody else is going if they don't follow our way. You understand? I had all the stuff together. And it worked. Stage 2 is wonderful. When you're a hardcore Democrat or a hardcore Republican and you know those other morons are just wrong, it's wonderful. For years it was wonderful. I just had my Bible and I'd say, well, let me see what the Bible says about it. And I taught. And then the cracks began to show up. I began to question. I won't even go into all the little moments in those years that caused little questions to come. But I found myself at a point when I was a minister up in Everett at the church, Evangelical Free Church. I found myself questioning everything that I had been taught. And I went to the church and I said, I cannot. The church was growing like crazy because when I was talking, I was telling them about my journey. And there were a lot of people I found out there on a similar path. But I finally got to the point to where I said, I have gotten to the point now to where I do not believe half of what we teach. And I lost my career, my retirement, my health benefits. My wife divorced me. Everything I thought was making my little stage 2 partisan reality perfect fell apart. And I fell apart. I started drinking. I left the church, I started drinking, and actually at first it was a blast. I had a lot of fun. I really did. It was like, whoa, this is really cool. Now, about the same time, I went to the Seattle Church of Religious Science and talked to the minister, Reverend Jim Munson, just before Kathy Ann, who's there now. And I said, you know, Reverend, I'm going around talking to these churches because I'm lost. I'm in the chrysalis. I'm dissolving. And we talked for a good hour, and he looked at me after we got done talking. He said, well, why don't you come to CBEC and teach a class? I said, you don't even know me. He said, I know you're a truth seeker. He said, and after you do the class, I want you to come over here and do a class on the Bible. I said, I hate the Bible. Toilet paper. He said, a lot of people here feel like that. Well, I don't feel that way toward the Bible anymore. Let me just say that. A lot of healing took place. But I began to fall apart in so many different ways. This is stage 3 in my biography. And from 1990 to 2000, it was about a decade, I spiraled into the trauma pit. I was so depressed. I'd lost my career. I was just getting ready actually to go teach at an evangelical university up in Canada. The district superintendent of the Free Church had opened the door for me to go teach. He said, "You're going to be somebody." I was gone. I stopped being a full-time father because I was asked to leave the house. I won't go into the trauma, but it was horrible. It was horrible. Suicidal. I don't call it serious suicidal thoughts, but those suicidal thoughts of if I died right now, I wouldn't care. I'm not going to kill myself, but if somebody else did, I wouldn't care. Stage 3. And this is when I began to discover soul making, because I thought, none of these religious groups that I've been associating with are helping me in this. I have to go. And even at the religious science church, I found myself going there kind of trying to act spiritual. Like people would say, "How's your consciousness?" I just want to say, "Effed." How's yours? But I would say something like, "Oh, I'm hanging in there." Good. So I found myself in this stage of disintegration, and for 10 years falling apart, and finally I ended up in recovery in 2001. And I won't tell you that story, but it was a fascinating story. It was a miracle. Ended up in recovery, and I got sober, and I found myself waking up to the reality that there is a God that is somehow the superintendent, not only of Michael in his ego, and Michael in all of his relationships, positive or negative, and Michael in all of his catastrophes and traumas and disorders and dysfunctions, that this God is involved in every single one of these somehow, because this God or this providence or this emanation, I love that statement that somebody put up there, could read it over and over. This emanation of God is moving this little caterpillar through these stages, and that somehow the butterfly is being made in every single step of this process. And that's when I realized I am the poet. The New Thought churches helped me realize that. The Unity churches helped me realize that I am the poet. I get up in the morning, I create my life. I go do something. But when those moments don't work and the microphone breaks down, I have to stop and say, "Well, I am also the poem. Thank you, author." Sometimes I don't feel like or even say thank you. Sometimes I just get mad. And it used to be when I got mad, I would think, "Oh no, now I'm being unspiritual," until I read Job and realized that in the chrysalis you're being spiritual too. Don't get stuck there, but it's a place to be. I think I want to stop there and close it, but just say, let's just do a meditation for a closing here. Take a breath. Keep this idea that every moment is a moment of eternity. And consider the possibility that each of us comes into this world as a karmic embryo. We bring our stuff with us from the past, but in a sense, we're a little embryo, a little seed. And that as Albert Camus, the great philosopher, said as he watched World War II ravish Europe, "I do not believe I come into this world a completed soul. I believe that everything that happens around me and to me is meant to make me into a one-of-a-kind, unique soul." Just take a breath. Consider that possibility that every experience in life is part of the soul-making process. And so it is. Thank you, Lynnwood, for inviting me over and reuniting with some people here that I haven't seen in years. So, blessings.
Thank you, Michael. Oh, I'm deeply moved and impacted and informed by your story. Thank you for sharing it with us. And you have gifted us with how many dozens of unanswerable questions that, don't you think, we could make from this conversation moving forward? Thank you. Each week we pause at this point in our service to offer opportunities to give something back to this community and to reflect upon the reciprocal nature of the universe, that great circle of giving and receiving. I want to share a quote from Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money, which brings this process alive for me. No matter how much or how little money you have flowing through your life, when you direct that flow with soulful purpose, you feel wealthy. When you let your money move through you to things you care about, your life lights up. That's really what money is for. Electronic giving options will appear on the screen here behind me. For those choosing to give a physical gift, the ushers will gratefully pass the baskets here in a moment. If you are on site and you prefer to give by credit card, there is an electronic giving station at the back, and I would meet you there and help. If you would like information about Unity in Lynnwood's programs of regular giving, planned giving, or legacy giving, please write the Board of Trustees directly. For those already participating, we extend a special thanks. Please join me in our giving affirmation as it appears on the screen. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Thank you, ushers. We appreciate your service. This is a moment where my eyes go wandering and scanning to see if perhaps there are people here I don't know and haven't seen before. We like to welcome those who are with us for the first time, just with a little round of applause. If you wouldn't mind raising a hand if you're new with us today, we would appreciate. Thank you for joining us. And I will share a few things just to help you orient. In the chair in front of you, at the back of the chair in front of you, you will find some cards there, and they give you information about who we are as a community. A little card you can fill out if you'd like to stay in touch. It only means a couple of emails a month. Also at the back, we call it the welcome and information station. Come on back and see me, please, and I will offer you a welcome packet that has a little bit more information inside. For people new with Unity, this is a Unity publication, it's called Daily Word. It has uplifting affirmations each day. As you can see, they would be short and sweet. It fits in many pockets and a purse very nicely. So it's a wonderful way to start a day or end a day or take a break in the middle of a day. I have a few invitations. Please consider the offerings of Unity in Lynnwood's small group ministry and interfaith ministry as they appear on your screen now. We hope to hear from you during this time of transition. So if you have a compliment or a comment, please write "We Listen" at unityinlynnwood.org. We're here for you. Please register for all events by visiting the calendar page at www.unityinlynnwood.org. And consider the Unity in Lynnwood small group and interfaith ministries. I did point you up to the screen already. Today at 12:30, we have our town hall meeting. Please join Unity in Lynnwood's Board of Trustees for a time of prayer, sharing, questions, and information. And Jennifer mentioned that some will be joining us too, virtually. So if anyone here would prefer to do that, just find your way to a computer and go to the calendar page and sign up, and you too could join virtually. Please join us for the Heart Circle with Reverend Denise Schellink next Sunday on August 4th at 12:30. A Heart Circle is designed to provide a spiritual community with an opportunity to listen deeply, the people to each other, to share authentically and allow our hearts to be seen and heard. This is about holding sacred space, which means being willing to walk alongside another person in whatever journey they're on without judging them, making them feel inadequate, trying to fix them, or trying to impact the outcome. When we hold space for other people, we open our hearts, offer unconditional support, and let go of judgment and control. Please save the date for our all-community picnic on Sunday, August 25th at 12:30 p.m. Please allow Unity in Lynnwood to celebrate you with an all-community picnic and volunteer recognition, scheduled for the Unity in Lynnwood parking lot. Shuttle service will be active from the Fred Meyer parking lot all morning to accommodate the various activity and game areas, cotton candy machine, and more. Nature walks and great music will be included. Sounds like fun. Today's flower dedication reads this way. Quote, "Happy birthday to my son, Kenny, in California," from Ingshan. Every fourth Sunday is Prayer Sunday. Please welcome the head of our prayer ministry, Dana Consuelo, to the platform.
Well, good morning, everyone. So good to see your beautiful faces. Every fourth Sunday, as Linda said, is dedicated to shining a light on prayer. The Unity movement was founded on prayer, the power of agreement, and affirming truth. This understanding of the prayer process, called affirmative prayer, is designed to awaken us so we can embody and activate our most authentic self, our divine self, our individual expression of God. Think about that. Our individual expression of this thing we call God. There is, I believe, and perhaps you've noticed too, an awakening to our divine nature happening in the collective consciousness. A key tool to sustaining an awake consciousness is prayer. To paraphrase Dr. Ernest Holmes, founder of the Science of Mind movement, effective prayer requires taking the time and using affirming processes and methods necessary to the changing of our thoughts about who we are and what we're capable of. Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsitt reminds us, affirmative prayer doesn't change the divine. Affirmative prayer changes us. Imagine that. Changes us. Two of the most important reasons I am here in this community is because every week, along with you, I'm reminded by the speaker's wonderful lesson today of this truth about all of us. And because I have the honor as a prayer chaplain to be with you when you need a personal reminder of who you really are and what you're capable of as a child of God, a unique expression of our Creator. This morning, chaplains are available for any of you who would like to pray with someone in the sanctuary immediately after the service. In addition, today we'll offer divine wholeness. Chaplains will be at the back of the sanctuary, perhaps in the family room. Let's do that in the family room today. This process of divine wholeness is that they stand behind you with their hands lightly on your shoulders and hold you in the healing energy of love. Will the chaplain serving this morning please stand and just remain standing for a moment? Aren't they beautiful souls? Please consider yourself welcome to come have a prayerful experience with Janet, Marge, Shelley, or Anne. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana. And yeah, I'll just echo that if you're here in the physical sanctuary, please see one of those beautiful, as Dr. Richards used to say, a bevy of prayer chaplains available to you. And if you're online, you may also ask for prayer. You can send an email to prayer@unityinlynnwood.org. Include your phone number, and a prayer chaplain will call you sometime this afternoon in the next few hours. So make yourself available of this amazing service that our prayer chaplains provide. And let's just go ahead and close with that beautiful practice that we call prayer. As Dana mentioned, prayer is not about changing the divine, it's about changing us. And so as we sit in this moment, maybe closing the outer eyes, we affirm our willingness to be changed by the divine. We are open to expressing our highest and greatest good in every step of this soul-making process. And we acknowledge that it is all good, and we are so grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. And we'll close today, as we always do, with some words of blessing and farewell.
May the peace of God surround you as you go along your way, and may the joy of life flow through you as you work and as you play. And may the light of who you are shine through in all you do. May the love we share today belong with you. May the love we share today belong with you.
Thank you, band. Please stay for the town hall if you can. Because we were having the town hall, we're actually going to set up hospitality in this room in the back rather than in the friendship hall, but you can go get coffee and whatever you need in there as well. So we'll have the food set up in here, chaplains in the family room, as Dana mentioned, and we will see you back here at 12:30. Thank you.